Our guest today is Liza Buck. She is a senior national camp manager at experience camps. You might ask, what are experience camps? Experience camps gives grieving children experiences that change their lives forever. They were founded in 2009. It is a no-cost program for grieving children who've experienced the death of a parent, sibling, or primary caregiver. The one-week overnight summer grief camps, year-round programs, and content help to reframe the experience of grief and empower kids with the necessary coping skills to move forward with their lives. Through compassion, connection, and play, Experience Camps allows grieving children to embody a life full of hope and possibility. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey everybody, Susan Finch here, your host for All Volunteer, All Heart from Binky Patrol. And today I have a guest that I feel like I've known for a couple of years, yet not. We've never met, but I've heard about experience camps. And Liza Buck knows our own Jean Majolio. And they've been working together. And I've been sitting on Zoom meetings and things with Liza through the Mr. Ballin Foundation when we do our lunch and learns. But we've never put all these pieces together. So I want to welcome Liza Buck from Experience Camps. And where are you headquartered, Liza?
Our office is in Connecticut.
It is in Connecticut.
It is. It's in Connecticut. We're a little bit all over. I am in the Northeast, but not in Connecticut. I'm in Maine personally, but we're all over the place.
Okay, we've given a little bit of background. Experience Camps is a recipient of many, many blankets from our Connecticut chapter. Thanks to Jean. And thanks to Al and everybody, I mean, all you come together so well in that state. It's beautiful and amazing. And I know Mr. Ballin Foundation helps you guys too. But what I want to know is a little bit about Experience Camps. And then I want to know, how did you end up there?
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's funny how Jean found us as well right at the right time, because we've been headquartered in Connecticut since 2009, which is when we were founded. Our founder and CEO, Sarah, is just someone who loves camp and sees the beauty of what camp can do for a child. And back in 2009, she started to think, what can I be doing more? And how can I give this wonderful gift of camp to kids who really need it? So it just kind of started as that, basically a vague idea, but with the love of camp. And then she really learned what it could do for grieving children specifically. So in 2009, we welcomed 27 kids to Camp Manitowoc, Maine. And we're heading into 2026, and we've added our 8th state. So we're up to 16 week-long programs in 2026. And we'll be welcoming nearly 2,000 kids this summer. So well over 1,500. And it's incredible to think how we started with only 27. But I know, I have to stop myself and think, when I first joined, I was still a teenager. I started as a volunteer, and I jokingly but very literally followed someone into the woods to a camp, and I didn't realize what the camp was. It was back before phones were really reliable GPSs, so I truly was following a vehicle into the woods, and it happened to be a grief camp. And so that was year one, and then I never looked back. I volunteered every year. I traveled to California. That was kind of my home base camp, despite me being in Maine. And then I was a director, and then I joined full time. They can't get rid of me at this point.
Now, had you experienced grief?
I had not directly like our campers have. Those are really significant losses that are very personally to them.
Right.
And typically a parent, sibling, primary caregiver, someone that lives in the home with them. My loss was a little parallel. I lost 2 of my cousins when I was a kid, and they were both very young. One was 12 and one was just a baby. And so my cousin, their sister, who was kind of, I always say, is like my little sister, I saw grief through her eyes, and I saw the lack of support through someone who cared and loved her deeply and wanted more support for her. And so when I saw these camps, I was like, oh, I could see her healing in these spaces. Right. And yeah, so that's been kind of that was my why in the beginning, and then it's transformed as I've worked.
I have another why. Yeah. Tell me, you're following a truck in the woods? What?
Yeah, that's what happens when you are 18 and you're like, hey, you're a lifeguard. Do you want to come be a lifeguard for this camp? And I was like, no, don't even tell me anymore. Great. Like, love the idea. So, and I was a camp person. I never went to sleepaway camp in the traditional sense, but I love to be outside. I'm a classic Maine kid in that way. So I did. I just followed them, didn't ask any follow-up questions. And I happened to be at this camp where I understood what was happening. And I was like, okay, being a lifeguard is not enough. So I continued following my people from that particular camp in Maine all the way out to California to really get that program off the ground. And the rest is
Wow. What I want to do is get a list from you then where all the camps are, because I want to
absolutely.
add it to our list that Ronnie and Ryan have built with all the Mr. Ballin partners,
Yeah,
because we're
absolutely.
trying to see where we have chapters and where the partners are.
Yeah, I would imagine that they'll align, but that's what's funny about Gene finding us, speaking to what you said about Connecticut and just kind of the overlap and the care that that
Yes.
state seems to bring forth and just community connection. Connecticut is where we've been headquartered, but we opened up that camp just last year, that location for our camp. So I think that's
That's
funny
so
that
interesting.
it just so happens Gene saw that and jumped on
Yeah.
it. And the blankets came in handy in Connecticut last year, for sure. And a very needed, it was very cold during our family camp, very cold, like 30 degrees in
Oh,
May. And I was like, how just crazy. And so every family, every unit, and every person got a blanket. And they woke up after that 30-degree night and were like, thank God we had these blankets from Binky Patrol. Yeah.
now, do the same kids come back year after year, or is it a new batch every year so they can all have an experience?
The two types I just mentioned, family camp is they come once and then that's it, that's the
Okay.
experience, with the hope that they continue capitalizing on that community they built in camp. And the children are able to come to week long and kind of get that experience as well. With our week long programming, our kids are able to come back year over year and really be supported as they grow and develop as a human, but also as their grief grows and develops with them.
I've talked to a few of the other partners for Mr. Ballin, and people might think, wow, who wants to be around a bunch of kids that are grieving?
Yeah.
These kids, and I loved what I heard one of you say, it could have been you, saying that nobody understands what they've gone through and why they are a little broken right now, except for other kids that have gone through it. And this gives
Yeah.
them their safe space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we don't even look at them as broken. Like this is so normal for them to feel the
Right.
whole spectrum of
Right.
everything. And I think that normalization, both by proximity to other kids who have experienced something similar, and by us saying the words, we say death, we say
Yeah.
dying, we don't avoid the subject. And I think that's kind of like a, whoa, we can talk about this openly here and no one's going to judge me for it. There's a lot there for the kids to really feel like they are understood at a deeper level that they definitely don't get in schools. And if you kind of take them through their journey of the day, if they're going to soccer practice, there's very low chance that they are going to be met with another kid who's experienced a significant loss like they have. So it's an isolating experience. And honestly, I've used this analogy. I say I stole it, but I asked him for permission. One of our campers talked about camp and experiencing a death like being a fish in a fishbowl. And so he said, when my dad died, I felt like I was scooped up from this giant fish tank and put in a fish bowl. And I was all alone and I was swimming around and I could see my friends and they could see me, but we couldn't hear each other and I wasn't understood and I was just
Mm.
alone. And then he said, when I got to camp, it was like I was scooped out of my lonely fish bowl and dropped into a tank with other kids who were speaking the same language and had a lot of the same feelings. And get choked up. The best thing that he said was after that, though, I was able to leave camp and I did go back in my fishbowl sometimes, but I had the tools and the coping skills that allowed me to kind of hop from bowl to bowl and be able to talk to my friends who maybe didn't really understand because I had the skills from camp. And I was like, oh, that's just the most beautiful illustration, I think.
How deep, too, that
Yeah,
to be able to sit through, sift through, accept, and wear all of it.
yeah,
That it sounds like that camper has embraced all of it as just a part of who they are,
yeah.
rather than trying to tuck it away, shove it away, hide it, be angry about it. It's
Hmm.
just, it's a full package. And that's
Yeah,
what happens as we get older and we lose people, no matter what level they are in our life. That all just gets enveloped in who we are and our experience and the compassion we bring forward to others
yeah,
because we're remembering this. I mean, things will come up. I lost my parents early on, not that early, but in my 20s.
yeah,
And for my dad, I was 23. For my mom, I was 35. And that's for me, that's young for parents to
yeah,
lose them. But I lost aunts, from when I was 6 years old, friends' parents, friends' children. All these things
yeah,
are cumulative. And hopefully we take it and remember how it was to experience that, to listen, to watch through their eyes. When I think of one of my dear friends I've known since preschool, when her little boy died from spinal meningitis when he was 3. And she's never gotten over that, and she never will. She still
No,
had
of
other
course not.
children. She has
Yeah.
children, and she's gone on with life, but she brings that along with her.
Yeah.
She brings Alec along with her.
Hmm.
And so he's always there, and we still talk about him. And I didn't get to know him at all. So I have very limited things to say, but
Right.
she can share those. She does too. She only had him for 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's all of that. So these kids, the skills they're learning
Yeah,
for
but what you just mentioned is a skill. Like, I think that's so beautiful that you're able to help her remember him. And whether you're able to contribute, you're contributing your ear and being a willing participant in her grief. And I think that's so incredibly important. It's just to be able to and be willing to embrace, as using your words, embrace that grief so they feel embraced by you as a friend. That's huge. What a gift.
it's tough. So one of my very best friends, her daughter committed suicide in September,
Hmm.
30 years old. And people could say, oh, why? Why did she? So why do you care?
Hmm.
And I'm trying to learn to be super respectful of that. Why am I asking a question? Is it because I need to know or because I'm curious? And if
Hmm.
I'm curious, that's almost ghoulish and that's none of my business. Of course, I know all the details. She's my best friend. So I was walked through that with them, that very intimate process, and continue to. But I also I keep people in check of, if you want to be supportive of these kids, like you're saying, just
Yeah.
listen and just treat them like everybody else
Yeah.
for who they are right now in this moment, rather than saying, well, what happened? How'd you feel then? It's like, well, you don't
Yeah.
know them well enough, and they will bring you in when they trust you.
Absolutely. And I think instead of tamping down the curiosity, sometimes what I'll say is use it, but ask questions that they have full autonomy to say, you know what, I'm not ready to talk about that, or I don't really want to talk about that right now. But we hear this a lot from kids, and it's always with intentions that are not stemming from evil and what have you.
Right.
But kids will come to camp and they'll say, oh my God, the amount of people who said, oh, well, was he a smoker when I told him that my dad died of lung
Exactly.
cancer? And
Yes.
like, what does that do? Well, that puts a very clear attachment of responsibility and blame to that person. And that's
Yes.
so what we train our staff on is instead, like, do you have a memory that you'd like to share? Or what the simplest and the
Yes.
most
That's what I
profound, I
like
think,
doing.
is like, what's their name? And that is usually like, oh my God, like they're asking what their name is. Like that is the first question. And usually that's the invitation to say, I'll tell you his name, but that's it. Or you just asked me what his name is. Now I'm going to tell you everything. And that's so beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do love that because I've learned this walking through these things with a lot of people. Sometimes I'll ask them, what's your favorite meal you guys would eat together?
Mm-hmm.
What if we
Yeah. That's
made
a good
that
one.
on their birthday?
Yeah.
For my mom, for her birthday, when I want to remember it, we eat dinner backwards in this house because
Dessert first?
that's what I used to do with her when I take her
I
out.
love that.
So that
That's
becomes
amazing.
one of those things. And
Yeah.
I'm planting a sunflower garden in honor of Amanda, my friend's daughter, because she loves sunflowers. I made myself a sunflower dress to wear to her celebration of life because
Yeah.
that shows the living that are there,
Yeah.
that she is on my mind. And so they made these friendship bracelets. It was a celebration of life with swag because she was all about swag.
That's incredible.
So everybody got goodie bags with, and she was into Taylor Swift. So we had friendship bracelets. We had all these things to do
Yeah.
and sunflower seeds. So I'm planting a garden and I'm putting the bracelets in each one.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Gosh.
So
Oh,
I'm
that's wonderful. I love that.
so there
Oh,
are different
meaningful.
ways. And it's those types of ask questions, yes.
Yeah.
But do you have a favorite photo you want to show me? What's your favorite memory? Was there a joke they told? Whatever it is, that's what I like to hear.
Hmm.
I share stories with my kids about my dad and the silly things he did and said. And it's just interesting. I think we, as people encountering those that are grieving, to take a breath. And what is your motivation for asking that question?
Hmm.
Is it to heal them? And you're right. A lot of people are just clods. They just don't know what to say.
Hmm.
They're just awkward and they don't know how to approach it because nobody's taught them. People don't teach you in your home most of the time how to do that.
Yeah.
In our church, there's a row in front of us, and it's a blended family. A widow and a widower got married, 2 kids each. those girls lost their dad to suicide, and the other one lost it for cancer.
Hmm.
So when Heidi and her family were sitting next to me, those girls have walked through this. They are 12 years old, 10 years old, 9 years old. And all they did was just reach back and just hold their hands.
Yeah.
And that's all they did.
Yeah, but I'm sure it meant
It meant a
more
tremendous
than,
amount, but they
yeah.
knew.
Yeah.
They knew that they how it felt for them when people just let their present, I'm here for you.
Hmm.
And so kids can learn that, people can learn that, and that's how we make a more compassionate world. The gifts that you guys are given at these camps, it isn't just helping them fit in, but they are learning how to turn those into strengths.
Yeah. Yeah. And accepting the shoulder when it's offered, because I think that that's a big thing in a number of ways that it can feel like I need to resist this, I need to bear this on my own. And honestly, those kinds of expectations are put on them by a lot, but I'll just say society, and just, you need to be strong for whomever. And that we campers will come to camp and say that that's a sentiment that's been set to them as like the eldest sibling or what have you, in that kind of role in the family capacity. But yeah, I think we are even learning as we go as experts in this sphere. We try to avoid the positive spin. So, like, what's a favorite memory can be really hard for a kid who's experienced a significant loss. And that's one of the questions on my short list that I ask. But if a kiddo is coming in, they've experienced a loss and they feel anger and they did not like that person and had a very difficult relationship
Yes.
with it, then I don't have a positive memory that I'm going to share. And now I feel like I can't contribute. And so we're continuing to learn about this as information and research is done, and we're learning from the kids as well. So it's just about listening, because they're going to tell you exactly what they need if you're listening.
I've watched people walk through the anger piece of it too, and cousins and things. And one of them, we made a burn pile.
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff. We just burn this stuff.
Oh,
All
yeah,
all the
absolutely.
stuff that it's like,
But how good
okay,
did that feel? Because they're not being told like, oh, you're not upset about this in the right way. And
right.
we
Like,
we did that with campers, not the burn, but inviting that kind of feeling, because that emotion exists. And they smashed plates, and we had them like contained, and it was safe.
yes.
But like and one of the kids who had been repeatedly told that anger is not the right emotion for this, you're doing it wrong, essentially, looked at one of our grief specialists and was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. Like, it was such a turn of events for them that they were
Yes.
invited to feel what they needed to feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
It
Burn
it's
pile
an
is great.
interesting thing. They have those rooms that you can go,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mash things up, but to be able to do that with others that can cheer you on
Hmm. Yes,
because they
yeah,
understand or they relate or they can
yeah.
imagine, even if it wasn't them. Like, I get that. If I were that mad or they did that to me, good
Hmm.
riddance.
Yeah,
Good riddance. Let's just the effigies or whatever you need to do, the
yeah,
pinata, put a pinata with
yeah,
their face on it. I mean, there's so many things you can do,
yeah.
but
It was it was a good one. But a burn pile is really like what a cathartic thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the idea because my daughter did that for a boyfriend once.
Yeah. There you go. It's effective.
It
Yeah.
was. And then she had to have the fire extinguisher. I get a text from her with photos. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's There you go, though. Safety first. That's
Yeah,
smart.
safety first. Yeah, that she had that. She says, we need a new extinguisher.
That's funny.
So tell me about Mr. Ballin Foundation and you guys.
Yeah, so he had started talking to us, I think, a couple of years ago. Like the mission, liked the setting. I think that's always a big thing, is
Yeah.
what you said earlier, like grief camp. That sounds interesting. We get a lot of responses, and I think he saw it for what it was and wanted to ask questions, and finally made it to camp last year. He visited our camp location in Maryland and was able to work with our oldest campers who were really excited to talk podcast and like
Yeah.
learn from this person. So that was really wonderful. They've been great. They've been great.
They've helped us a lot and they allow us to have our Binkathons.
Yeah.
We do that once a year with the money that they give us, and we're able to supply any chapter that wants to have one with the materials because people have time, they have heart, they don't always have money.
Yeah.
And so that allows us to get into the community more, to talk about it in the community more, publicize it, get the news, get everybody that we can. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate, but I'm really enjoying these connections. We're kind of the oddity out of all the partners because we supply people like you guys.
Yeah.
We're like another supplier. We don't have the money, but we give you blankets.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our fit for probably half the partners
Yeah.
is to be able to give blankets. So it's been a wonderful adventure.
I would imagine, yeah, you've probably met some incredible people and come across some amazing missions.
Yep, it's very special. So tell everybody how to find experience camps.
Yes, experiencecamps.org has, as our website, it has everything you will need if you want resources, if you're just seeking out. Our blog is really lovely for people who just want to read about how to talk to a kid in a classroom about grief. It's where you can apply for camp and learn where our locations are and the dates for those locations, both week-long camp for kiddos and for family camp for the entire family unit. So all of those things can be found online.
And can they volunteer there? What if they want to
Right.
help at a camp?
Yes. We are really fueled by, honestly, I looked at our enrollment spreadsheet today and we hit the grand 1,000, 1000. I had a moment for myself because I remember back when we were teeny tiny. But yes, we need volunteers. Right now, we still need volunteers for our Texas Boys program, but we open applications every season in the fall. So applications open for new people in November. So we're incredibly blessed to have so many lovely people that we're almost at capacity in some of our locations, but we still need volunteers in Texas and California for our boys programs. We have volunteers for that and we have day programs. So just check us out for all the above, really. And we are on Instagram, TikTok, we have Facebook pages. So we have some pretty great social media people. So they're good posts.
That's fantastic. And people could also sponsor campers. You guys are welcome to donate to experience camps. Remember, it's experiencecamps.org. Go there, find ways to help. Just like our site, ways to help, binkypatrol.org. We make it easy for all of you. You can donate and the money goes to program. Mr. Ballin does not partner with nonprofits that have highly paid executives.
Mm-hmm.
They partner with people that understand the money is meant to use for the program and to just keep the lights on and keep it going.
Yep, absolutely.
Keep it going and growing.
Yes, going and growing indeed, for sure.
Yeah, it's not about big salaries. It's about what do we need to keep this going and affect more lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I know that's part of your core. I just know it. As soon as you're a Mr. Ballin partner, I know that about your organization. And I know that I can tell other people, you can trust this organization.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I agree. I think that's the whole mission. We're for the kids.
Yep. Thank you, Liza, for coming on the show. I'm so happy that you said yes.
Yeah, Susan, thank you for having me. This has been lovely. And I'm glad that we have this partnership.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. You can find us at binkypatrol.org. Our podcast is binkypatrol.show, experiencecamps.org. So many links for you guys. Go do something. Help the kids that we all serve. Thank you so much for your hearts and your time.